Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of the regular meetings on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and by providing a copy of the annual notice of the regular meetings for the year 2017 to the Glen Ridge paper, the Glen Ridge Voice, the Montclair Times, and to the Star Ledger on Tuesday, January 10th, 2017, by filing said notice in the office of the municipal clerk. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilor Hughes?
Here.
Councilor Stovich is absent. Councilor Lefkowitz?
Here.
Dawson? Here. Murphy?
Here.
Morrow?
Here.
Mayor Patrick's present. Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Michael. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of our regular meeting on October 23, 2017?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Dawson. May I have a second?
Second.
Any comments? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilor Hughes?
Aye.
Lefkowitz?
Aye.
Dawson? Aye. Murphy?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays. The motion is carried.
Are there any written communications?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. First one is from Jennifer Brewer, Director of our library, thanking those who helped out with the annual garage sale day, or yard sale day. Then we have a letter from a resident on Hillside, on High Street, requesting repaving of the street. Mr. Mayor, we're holding off on that because right now UPS-ENG is repairing gas lines on that street. We also have planned changing water services, and also we're going to do construction at the central school. So High Street will be paved, but after the construction has been completed. We don't want to redo Wildwood Terrace.
Has somebody responded to the homeowner?
I'll respond to the homeowner.
Thank you.
Received a letter from the Department of Community Affairs for the state of New Jersey approving the redevelopment area that was designated on Baldwin Street. We received approval of the contract for the revaluation in Glen Ridge to be performed by professional property appraisers. And then finally, we have a letter from the North Jersey Water District regarding the overdraft rules, which will go into effect in 2018. That concludes correspondence.
Thank you. This is a time for comments from the public. Is there anybody from the public that would like to be heard at this time? Would you please come on up and give your name and address?
Hi, I'm Sean McDonough, 9 Woodland Avenue, Woodland Boarding Home. It was on a Tuesday morning about, maybe it was September. It's a former tenant, doesn't live there anymore. He's associated with this young African-American woman who was, well, there's security there now. But she was a drug addict, a thief, and said she was coming into the premises, and they had locked the door. And then she went through the back, and then they called the police, and they said, "What are you doing here?" She in the past did steal from the resident. But then again, the police had her right then and there, and I wonder why they didn't arrest her. It's like, I hate to say it, what are we paying protection for? And the Woodland Rockford, folks in wheelchairs. It's like, protection for that. According to the police, we didn't have enough evidence. And I said, and again, she steps on the sidewalk of the property. She's incarcerated. I say, why didn't you present? Like, is anybody in the safety department present?
Yeah, the chief's here, Sean.
The chief. I just like, you're overruled. I mean, you run the safety with the police, right? If somebody comes on the, but that just, the Woodlands, maybe she goes in other areas. I was just concerned. Why would didn't cops apprehend her right then and there? This is what we're paying protection for. I'm a little paranoid. Maybe other people are paranoid. In the house.
So I'm sorry, I didn't hear
9 Woodland Avenue, I didn't know the police officer, I was gonna question about it, but I didn't wanna pose any threat or, I was
Right.
just a little concerned with, they're okay, police, but,
Sean, really, I think the police are excellent. They respond very, very quickly if there's an issue that they have to respond to. But I don't think we know the details, Sean, of what, Stuart, if you wouldn't mind, Mayor, I know Sean
Go
in
right
the
ahead,
church.
go right ahead.
I'm sure that if we knew the background a little better, Sean, we'd be able to maybe give you a better answer. But right now, we really honestly don't know what took place back in September.
So, well, she had a habit of stealing other residents' belongings,
Okay,
and nothing was done about it.
okay,
And the person's not there anymore with health problems,
right.
wasn't apprehended too, and I just wonder why nothing was done about it.
Right.
I mean, okay, if they're so good, why didn't they arrest her right then and there,
Well,
and properly done?
you know,
I don't think that's justice.
there's due process and there's rules that the police have to follow before they can arrest somebody, but how about if, either I'll stop by and talk to you, Sean, we could go over it, or maybe I'll see you
Well,
Sunday?
I'm not really at liberty, well, maybe Mr. Payne is, but
Okay,
he now has cameras, which I think he should have put in prior there.
Oh, great.
Your fault, but as you go around the back, enter up the stairs,
mhm,
he's apprehended, wherever, I don't go up there, well, if they lock the door. But, you go in the living room, that's another story.
do you think the police ought to reach out to the management of the Woodlands and see if they could do a voluntary, appraisal of security of the building?
Well, you can get in touch with the owner.
Okay.
So maybe you can get contact with us and get in touch with the owner.
Okay,
Okay.
how's that? Great.
Sorry if that's really.
No, you're fine. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming in, Sean, we appreciate it.
Anyone else? All right, then.
Yeah, Pete?
I'm gonna, keep this short. As short as I can. The issue that keeps me awake all night, wondering how I got blindsided by this curb situation. Oh, but it does relate to that Governor-elect Murphy is aware of this issue. So I'm letting the municipality, Glen Ridge know that, so you won't get blindsided. Because what happened was that I got a call inviting me to a town hall meeting he was having in Verona. And I said, yeah, I'd like to go, but I'm blind and I'm kind of captive in my house because of the curbs. And the woman said, you're not alone. And I realized, wow, she's doing the research that I can't do. She's calling around. And so I said, I'll be there. And so when I was there, I spoke to, he was running for governor at the time. And he approached us. He said, what's this about? Because on the card I checked infrastructure and disabilities. When I told him, and so I told him that I'm not alone, that there are many New Jerseyans who are feeling stranded in their homes because of these curb cuts. So then I called the next day because they had someone on his staff who wanted to know more about this. So I'm basically in touch with Governor-elect Murphy. So this is the theme of this, when me speaking right now, is like, municipalities or citizens should not be blindsided by laws. And so what happened was also, I was looking back in my own memory, it's like, how did I not see this coming? And I heard just last week someone refer to the curb cuts, and that's how I heard about them in the 1990s, cuts. So I imagined a curb beveled so that wheelchairs can go up the curb. But it went from beveled to leveled because, well, that's a catchy way of looking at it. But in fact, when I called just this evening, I spoke to someone at the Access Board. I said, how when did it change the word from curb cut? Oh, and they call it a curb ramp, but obviously it's nothing like a ramp, it's completely flush. That was the goal all along. So I said, when did it go from being called a curb cut to called a curb ramp? And he said, well, curb cut was an old term. But that term actually, of course, fooled me. Because when I heard about the curb cut, I imagined a beveled curb, no problem. But what happened was, I got blindsided because we weren't looking and their goal was to level the curb. So, beveled became leveled and blind people were blindsided by this. And so basically I'm saying, I'm going to keep this issue alive, and the governor-elect is aware of it, so that Glen Ridge, in the future, when you have to put back the curbs, so that blind people aren't put at risk about crossing streets, it's like, I'm just letting you know that, for the record, I'm not standing still and doing nothing about it, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to be heard? Seeing no one, move to the comments of the mayor. And this evening, I think I'd like to take a few minutes to give a shout out to a number of folks who make this great town for all of us to live in. It shows a tremendous amount of volunteerism and dedication to what they're doing. The first group is the marching band. This marching band on the first weekend of November competed in 2 championships. At the New Jersey State Championships in Middletown, Glen Ridge won 2nd place and earned awards for best music and best overall effect. That same day, at the National Championships in Allentown, Pennsylvania, the band locked horns with the top bands from New England, the Middle East, the Middle Atlantic states, and the South. Glen Ridge fought its way up from a 7th seed to earn 2nd place and win the award for best music in the nation. Glen Ridge High School was also chosen out of all the competing bands to receive the National Esprit de Corps Award, which is an honor given directly by the United States Marine Corps. The band director, Darren George, summed it up, I think, very well when he said, well, I'm always proud of my students. They blew me away this past weekend. They performed with courage and heart, and I believe they represented themselves, Glen Ridge High School, our public schools, and the greater Glen Ridge community with honor. So they didn't get there by not working their tails off, so I think this was a great, great thing for all of us, and I think we can all be proud of them. I can find the rest of us here. Then I received a letter from, get the right letter here, from Jen Brewer, our library director. And I think it's a great letter to read. She says, Dear Mayor Patrick, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you and the Borough Council for your support of the Friends of the Glen Ridge Library's 2nd annual townwide yard sale. It took many people to make the day a success, and I would like to acknowledge the efforts of some of the outstanding employees and volunteers of our community. I owe much gratitude to Michael Rohal, Borough Administrator, for his help behind the scenes and for his assistance throughout the day. His support and efforts were truly appreciated. I want to thank Bill Bartlett, Devin, and the entire DPW for their help with the heavy lifting, bringing tables, and with assisting with the cleanup at the end of the day. I also want to thank the Glen Ridge Police for their help communicating to Hillside Avenue lot permit holders, overseeing the safety of our shoppers and sellers, and for providing crossing assistance at the Hillside lot sale. We have so many community-oriented residents, and I would like to acknowledge the invaluable efforts of Jan Rollhall, President of the Friends of the Glen Ridge Library, Allison Lang, Vice President, Friends of the Glen Ridge Library, Scott Lang, Treasurer, Friends of the Glen Ridge Library, Carol P. Harpster, President, Library Board of Trustees, Linda Safert, Secretary, Library Board of Trustees, Elizabeth Baker, Claudette Scutari, Chrysanthia Capuzos, I think that's right, and Margarita Rogers. This event could not have happened without their time, energy, and support. I think it's really great, not only that these people volunteered and did all they did, but for Jen to write this letter acknowledging them. I think that's what keeps people working together as a group, the acknowledgement as well as the work. And then finally, I was very taken by the letter that we received from the Department of Community Affairs having to do with approving the our resolution to declare the area on Baldwin Street an area in need of redevelopment. Richmond, the commissioner, writes somewhat gratuitously at the end, but I thought it was great. This determination is a tribute to the work the Borough of Glen Ridge has done. So I think that we showed that we went the extra mile in preparing our request for this approval. So I think that every now and again it's good to sit back and think about all the people that really give their all to make this town a great place to be. So kudos to everybody.
I'd like to add one other thing that's coming up on Thanksgiving Day. The Ashenfelder the AAK, in honor of Mr. Ashenfelder. Dan, why don't you give a quick précis on that since you're the...
Sure. Registration's up about 25% this time last year. Weather permitting, we're going to have an all-time record number of participants for the Ashenfelder Classic, and also the Tom Fleming Mile, which honors the life of Tom Fleming, who passed away last April. So it's going to be a good event. It's a huge town event. I don't know how many families participate in it, but it seems like everybody's here. And in the time, typically the town really shines, and we get the cooperation with the police department, Department of Public Works again, of course, the mayor and council, and we thank everybody involved.
And it goes to benefit the Educational Foundation, which provides money for the schools that we wouldn't otherwise get. So it's a great event with a lot of people from all over town involved in it.
I took a meeting earlier, last week with Chief and Captain to just review some of the perhaps additional safety precautions we could take to make the course even safer in light of the terrorist attack in New York City, where a cyclist was run down by a Home Depot truck from a guy who lived in Patterson. So we're thinking a little bit outside the normal profiling, and just looking to make it as safe as possible for the participants and
Spectators.
And the spectators too, but more importantly, the folks running along to that. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing nobody. Councilor Hughes.
Mayor, I have a brief update on the budget. Mr. Rohall reported out in our previous meeting earlier tonight that both revenues and expenditures are on track, and we intend, and it looks like we will hit our budget for the year. So as this is through October 31st, and we only have a couple more months to go, and so we're in pretty good shape there.
Great.
As far as Finance Administration, I do have a resolution, number 13917, be it resolved that the following claims be approved and warrants be drawn for the same, and be it resolved that the Chief Financial Officer, Treasurer of the Borough of Glen Ridge is hereby authorized to issue the payroll for the employees of the Borough of Glen Ridge for the pay date of November 15, 2017. Mayor, I move the resolution.
You've heard the resolution. Can I hear a second? I'll second. Thank you, Councilor Lefkowitz. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilor Hughes?
Aye.
Lefkowitz?
Aye.
Dawson?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays. The resolution is approved.
Mayor, that concludes my report for Finance Administration, and if, with your permission, I'll go ahead and present Councilman Lisovich's report for Public Safety. And I have, for first item is ordinance number 1672 for second reading. Mayor, this is entitled Prosecutor of the Municipal Court. It's something that we brought up the last meeting, I believe, and it's just setting up sort of a table of organization for the court.
Mr. Mayor, just to state for record that this ordinance has been properly posted and advertised in accordance with the state statute.
I declare the meeting open for discussion of this ordinance and only this ordinance, this being the time and place for the public hearing. Is there anybody here that would like to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, I declare the meeting closed.
Mayor, I move that the ordinance be finally passed.
May I hear a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
You've heard the motion of Councilperson Hughes, seconded by Councilman Lefkowitz. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilor Hughes,
Aye.
Lefkowitz,
Aye.
Dawson,
Aye.
Murphy,
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays. The ordinance is approved on final reading.
And Mayor, finally, I have, resolution number 14017. Be it resolved that the mayor and Borough Council of Glen Ridge do hereby approve the application of Ridgewood Avenue Home and School Association for an on-premise 50/50 raffle to be held December 10, 2017 at the Glen Ridge High School, 200 Ridgewood Avenue, Glen Ridge. I move the resolution.
You've heard the resolution. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Art. Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilor Hughes,
Aye.
Lefkowitz,
Aye.
Dawson,
Aye.
Murphy,
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays. The resolution is approved.
Thank you.
Mayor, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Lefkowitz.
Mayor, I have no report this evening.
Thank you. Councilor Dawson.
I have a DPW report that I'd like to go through. I assume this is also published on the town website, so I won't read the whole page, but it regards leaf pickup. So, we have a truck specifically to pick up bagged leaves at curbside beginning the week of November 6th and terminating December 20th. Residents must use biodegradable bags or clear plastic bags. No black bags will be accepted for pickup. These curbside pickups will be made on your first regular scheduled garbage collection each week. So if your garbage pickup is Mondays and Thursdays, your leaf collection day beginning November 6th and terminating a final pickup day of December 18th. And for Tuesdays and Fridays, Tuesday will be your leaf collection day. So, and Wednesdays and Saturdays, Wednesday will be your leaf collection day. So the bags must only contain leaves. They must not weigh more than 50 pounds. No garden debris mixed in with the leaves. No grass clippings mixed in with the leaves. No sticks or branches mixed in with the leaves. Garden and yard debris will be picked up on your first scheduled collection day and must be packaged separately from leaves. You cannot rake leaves into the streets or gutters, including the county roads, and the bags may not be placed in any of the streets or gutters, including county roads. That's to avoid if there's a heavy rain backing up the gutters and the sewers. So, the regular rear yard collection of garbage will continue picked up twice a week. So this is also on the town website, specific of it, but the important things are clear plastic bags or the biodegradable bags, and the leaves only because they go to a separate recycling center. I also have an ordinance and a resolution that I'd like to offer. There's ordinance number 1673 for second reading. This is an ordinance to appropriate grants funds for various capital improvements, specifically roads. Be it enacted and ordained by the mayor and the Borough Council of the Borough of Glen Ridge in the County of Essex and the State of New Jersey. There shall be improvements to various streets, sum of $250,000 appropriated from New Jersey Department of Transportation Municipal Aid Program for the aforestated projects. The foregoing is to be performed under the direction of the Borough Administrator, Engineer, Deputy Administrator, Director of Planning and Development. The following matters are hereby determined and declared. The purpose is not a current expense as an acquisition which may be lawfully made. The gross debt of the borough is not increased by this ordinance. So what I have now is second reading, and that's, Mr. Mayor, I have ordinance number 1673 for final reading.
Mr. Mayor, just to state for record that this ordinance has been properly advertised and posted in accordance with the state statute.
I declare the meeting open for discussion of this ordinance and only this ordinance, this being the time and place for the public hearing. Is there anyone here today that would like to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed.
Mr. Mayor, I move this ordinance be finally passed.
Mayor, second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second that.
Thank you, Counselor. You have heard the motion of Counselor Dawson, seconded by Counselor Murphy. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Hughes,
Aye.
Lefkowitz,
Aye.
Dawson,
Aye.
Murphy,
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays, the ordinance is passed on final reading.
Thank you.
I have a resolution number 141 I'd like to offer now, whereas Petroleum Traders Corporation, Inverness Way, Fort Wayne, Indiana, has cooperative purchasing agreement with the state of New Jersey, Purchasing Division, contract number 80915, and where the borough is expected to purchase about $80,000 of fuel in 2017. The finance officer has certified the availability of funds for this contract from the current fund. Now be it resolved that the mayor and council of the borough of Glen Ridge does hereby approve the purchase of fuel from the Petroleum Traders Corporation. Mr. Mayor, I offer the resolution.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion on this resolution?
Just a comment, it's an awful lot of money on fuel. Seems hybrid technology is coming on stream, and would certainly like to consider future acquisitions for vehicles being used in the borough to be either electric or hybrid vehicles in the future. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Through your curveball.
You've heard the motion of Councilperson Dawson, seconded by Councilperson Murphy. Will clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Hughes,
Aye.
Lefkowitz,
Aye.
Dawson,
Aye.
Murphy,
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that concludes my activity for tonight.
Thank you, Counselor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm just trying to load it. Just had it up there too. The Parks and Recreation Committee report, Mr. Mayor, a few bullet points, and if they would load, I could read them. We had a very successful pumpkin hunt, Mr. Mayor. Glen Rec Department held another pumpkin hunt in Carteret on Saturday before Halloween, and we had about 100 people in the park participating in the annual event, and a good time was had by Mr. Mayor, senior citizens had a trip to Oktoberfest, sponsored by the Golden Circle Senior Citizens Group. It was a bus trip to Oktoberfest at Waterfront Silver Birches in Hawley, Pennsylvania, where they enjoyed a full day of activities including a strudel making demonstration, music, dancing, and family-style German meal, and a German show. There are senior citizens bus trips each fall and each spring, Mr. Mayor. And finally, Mr. Mayor, Friday Night Rec, the very popular Friday Night Rec program is set to begin on Friday, December 1st. A fun-filled 90 minutes of gym games for kids, and I just lost it. Has anybody done the update on their iPhone? It's just driving me absolutely nuts. It's cruel, is what it is. Having lost that and not wanting to take any more of your time, Friday Night Rec beginning December 1st.
Thank you.
That's all I have for you.
Thank you. Counselor Morrow.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The first item I have is resolution number 142-17, appointing Karen Robinson to the planning board. Karen is a longtime Glen Ridge resident and an architect in town. She's currently serving on the library board. I know that we anticipate a very busy year, and I think a couple of years coming up on the planning board, and we want to make sure we have a full complement of members to review. We're very much looking forward to Karen joining us, and she will be a very welcome addition to the planning board.
I might also add that she's very active with the Glen Ridge Historical Society, and her presence there has been invaluable, and has enabled the Historical Society to grow as a group and become better and better.
Should she come up and introduce herself?
I think everybody knows Karen.
No,
but if you'd like to.
Thank you, Karen.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So with that, I offer resolution number 142-17, that the mayor's appointment of Karen Robinson as alternate number 2 to the Glen Ridge Planning Board is hereby approved and confirmed.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, will the clerk please call the roll.
Counselor Hughes,
Aye.
Lefkowitz,
Aye.
Dawson,
Aye.
Murphy, Morrow.
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
And with that, I will also make the announcement that the planning board will be meeting next on Wednesday, November 29th. We expect to have a first draft of the redevelopment plan for the Baldwin Street site presented by Jeff Janota. Those meetings are always open to the public, so it's Wednesday, November 29th at 7:30 p.m. And that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. Now is the time for comments of the administrator and department heads. Michael?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, the reevaluation process has started. Letters were sent to every borough resident this past week. The inspectors, the firm that we chose was Professional Property Appraisers. They will be issued borough ID, and they will also have uniforms that identify them as employees of Professional Property Appraisers. So we anticipate the inspections will start right after Thanksgiving and probably take about 3 or 4 months. Also, what we negotiated with this firm is that they'll be, at the end of the inspection process, they'll be sending out impact letters. This impact letter will be different from previous years, in which we'll have 2018 assessment, the 2018 taxes, the new assessment, and what that assessment means in terms of the 2018 taxes. So residents will be able to compare not only their assessments, but also the taxes they'll be paid based on the new revaluation. And the revaluation assessments will take effect in 2019. I think we got an early start on this, so I think we'll be able to give residents due time to meet with the firm in case there's any questions on their assessment. Also, they'll be using tablets in which the resident could review the information that the inspectors put into the tablets, and there'll be a sign-off by the resident that they have seen and have gone over dimensions and the different criteria how the inspector had rated their residents. So I think this firm, we're really looking forward to working with them, and I think based on having the past 2 revaluations in the last 10 years, there has been a learning curve, and we put this in. George Brucey has really tidied up the specification. I think will be the benefit to the residents. And then also, this hour we were very busy in the borough. We had the Kiwanis having their annual clothing and household collection at the high school. The Rotary and Borough will have their 17th annual turkey and food drive at the train station. We'll be collecting frozen turkeys, frozen hams, canned goods, as well as packaged food. And also this year, the Rotary and the Borough are teaming up with a blanket collection at the train station. So hope everybody can participate in one of the, if not all 3 drives.
I have a question. Are they going to schedule appointments when they come by ahead of time, or
No,
they
but
just gonna show up?
they're going to show up initially, leave your cards, and then they'll come by if you're not available by appointment. So they'll be canvassing, but we'll also work with the police department to assure, just like we did in previous years, that they have the proper ID. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
John?
Mayor, I just want to give a very brief update on the Baldwin Street litigation. There was a case management conference held before Judge Gardner on November the 9th. It comes as no surprise because the judge has mentioned this in the past, that he has set an April 2nd, 2018 trial date for that litigation. The judge also wants us to have a detailed status report given to him by the end of the month. But in keeping with that, there's a meeting scheduled with the litigants on November 27th here, and at that meeting we will be discussing in great length the recommendations of the special master, which I had mentioned at the last meeting, and that is the recommendation for a apartment complex of 98 units, of which 15 would be affordable housing units. This also ties in with what Councilor Morrow had mentioned, that there will be a presentation on November the 29th before the planning board by our consultant, which will be presenting a redevelopment plan, and the substance of that redevelopment plan, we believe, will deal with parts of this litigation. So we're moving ahead with this. As I mentioned, it's the recommendation of the special master that there be 98 units on that site. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, John. Chief?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to mention, over the last 2.5 weeks, we've definitely seen an increase within the borough of property crimes and some crimes of criminal nature that were perpetrated against over the last 2 weeks, we've seen what we believe is, quite a few crimes committed by the same group of people. Last Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night, we had criminal activity all 3 nights. We had one attempted stolen motor vehicle, which was interrupted by the homeowner on Friday night. Saturday night, the same group of people, utilizing a stolen vehicle from Bolton Street in Montclair, did steal a second car from Sherman Avenue, which is still outstanding, meaning it has not been recovered anywhere in the state as of yet. Sunday night, the same group of people, was arrested after a brief chase from Montclair to Glen Ridge, the car crash from Ridgewood Avenue in the area of 259 is one of our gas lanes. We have not had any personal injuries during any of the crimes that have been committed, but they are really going from theft of motor vehicles to theft from motor vehicles, and we did have an assault of a gentleman that was visiting from New York City. He happened, as we've been able to ascertain, to be interrupting theft of a motor vehicle, which is why he was assaulted on Stonehouse Road. Many residents in town have been really good with us. We've gotten video from all over town that we're going through and trying to piece together. And some of the things that we've been asking people to do is really keep your eyes and ears open. You know what goes on your block. You know the people that are typically on your street, and you know the people that appear to be having suspicious behavior, to call the police desk or 911 for an emergency, but also to listen for dogs barking. A lot of people dismiss dogs barking, but it really is a #1 indicator that somebody's either around your home or in a place that they're not supposed to be. Motion lights going on and off sometimes also get dismissed because a lot of people think that sometimes animals running through the backyard, but we're asking people to call us if motion lights are seen going on and off either at their house or if they're out as pedestrians. And also asking people to be really vigilant about locking their cars. To date, we've only had 1 car that was broken into, and the thieves that we're dealing with appear to be very young or teenagers looking for open cars so they can get the key fob out and either take the car at that point or come back for the car. And then lastly, we're asking people if they do come across evidence that either their car or a neighbor's car has been broken into, if they can leave the evidence as it is. We're processing each car. We've actually had quite a bit of success with lifting fingerprints and getting hits from APIS, which is our state police automated system for being able to help us ascertain who actually was either in a vehicle or at the crime scene. We've definitely seen an increase in calls at headquarters, which is really good. We've seen a lot of people interested in what's going on in their neighborhood and willing to give us information that maybe sometimes they feel funny about calling, because, nobody wants to be the person to call and then feel like, oh, I gave information that wasn't accurate. So we're really urging everybody to either call the police desk, call for a crime prevention officer, or call the detective that's listed in the release that's working on the particular case if they have information about it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is there any new and unfinished business?
No, Mr. Mayor.
We're back at time for comments from the public, if any would like to be heard. Seeing no one, Councilor Hughes, have you got a motion for us?
Mayor, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sure. Boy, they stole my camera.